I talk with so many smart, high achieving women who have all of the experience they need to tell a powerful story with a powerful message in a powerful book. And yet, so often it can be really difficult for us to move ourselves forward, to actually claim that experience and write that book. And that's why today I wanted to bring Lisa Katona Smith on to talk about her book that is out today, Parallel Recovery. So stay tuned. She's going to chat a little bit about moving herself forward past that imposter syndrome, plus how to figure out how personal to get in your nonfiction book. Stay tuned. You've been writing your memoir, maybe even for years. You know your material, you know what it means. What's missing isn't the story, it's the structure. And that's why we started the Memoir Method Book Club. Every single month, Emily Thrash, a professional writer and editor, teaches you how to read like a writer by breaking down a published memoir and showing you what it's doing under the surface. Your first session is free. Head over to pageandpodium.com/book club to sign up. We are talking today with Lisa Katona Smith. She has a brand new book out today, Parallel Recovery, and I'm so excited to chat with her about the process of writing this book, about all of the things that she is sharing in this book, all the people she's going to help. But first, let me tell you a little bit about Lisa. Lisa Katona Smith is the founder of Parallel Recovery Family Recovery Services and a nationally recognized advocate for families impacted by substance use disorder. Drawing from her personal journey and over 20 years as a master's level educator, Lisa developed Parallel Recovery, an innovative approach to fostering healing, sustainability, and connection. A TEDx speaker and trusted guide, she empowers families with compassionate tools to navigate recovery together. In Parallel Recovery, Lisa shares her transformative insights to help families thrive one step at a time. So, with that, let's get into it. So, Lisa, thank you so much for joining us on the podcast.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Well, I'm so excited to talk about this book. As we were just kind of chitty-chatting before the interview, it is so beautiful. The design is so pretty. But truly, the contents of this book is what I am the most proud of because the lives that you are changing, that you will change with this book, it's just incredible. So, kind of kick us off. Tell us a little bit about what the book is about.
Yeah, the book is about inviting the family of someone struggling with substance use disorder to engage in their own recovery process, both for the sustainability of the journey that they're on, as well as the impact of being able to connect with their loved one in a better, more authentic, real, and influential way.
Right, right. So you're both helping people kind of, to just paraphrase what you said, helping people kind of see this long process through, but also so that you're not kind of going through this long process and waiting till the end of it to reconnect with your person. I love that about your book is that you're so strong on you've got to have the love and the relationships there for the people to have something to come home to.
Yeah, we can't wait until one day to love our people who are struggling. One, that's not fair. And two, it's actually driven by science that if you can learn how to connect with someone who's having really hard struggles to watch and live, the effect on them wanting something different for their life is actually exponential.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm so glad you said that because one of the things that I love so much about this book, it is very specifically for people who love someone with substance use disorder. But also, that does not have to be the case for this book to be so valuable for you. Like, truly, as we were, kind of editing, going through, I learned so much. I mean, things like kind of pausing and letting your nervous system regulate before you just, jump into the argument. Talk about a little bit about your approach in that way. Kind of how are you thinking about some of these psychological concepts that you talk about?
Right. So, you're not wrong with that. I mean, this is about how to have healthy relationships. And truth be told, human relationships are difficult. Like very few of them. Do you have relationships that don't have some challenge in it? Especially when you're talking about family members. So, it really is about how can I show up in a way that is authentic to myself. I'm received the way that I want to be received. I talk about values in the book and really a lot of personal reflection. One whole section is on personal reflection. And then ultimately, how do I engage with somebody who might not be participating the way I want them to participate, or even the way they want to participate, but they've got, some things that are in their way that are kind of creating challenges to showing up their best self. So yeah, that's kind of where this comes from. It's really a lot of self-reflection, and then the topics of the book are relational, but for the purpose of the book, I specifically talk about psychoeducation of substance use, addiction. And then third is connection with boundaries, agreements, how to love somebody where they're at and how to kind of integrate those two things into the relationship.
Oh, I love it. The boundaries agreements piece, kind of thinking about how we navigate the non-negotiables in relationship, I found that so, so useful. So, one of the things, listeners will have heard in the bio, you've been doing this for a while, but I also think it's so clear just hearing you talk about it and reading the book that you have so much experience in a lot of different ways. So, kind of as you have been going through this process on your own of developing this parallel recovery system, how did you know that it was time to write the book now?
I think, I've been doing this work with other families for some time now and realizing that through their journeys, um, that things had not changed from the time when I was needing support myself with my own family's journey through substance use disorder. And I started doing what I'm doing because I couldn't find help in a way that was that felt good or that was actually actionable or effective. And so I sort of became the help. And in becoming the help, I realized kind of from a different lane with a different hat that things still weren't changing, that nothing was changing, that there was a lot of yeah, 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 we get it. And there wasn't action to help the families. There wasn't an invitation to include the families, and um, not just an invitation, but an expectation for the families to engage in a process of parallel support, parallel recovery. So that's where I just said, I've got to get this out there bigger because if I go one person at a time, the message is going to take too long to reach all the people.
Yeah, yes, which I think you came at such a perfect time because like you said, there you have so much experience. You refined some of your approach and really thought about it. There's tons of really research rich, experience rich stuff in the book. So I like that to me is such a takeaway too, is you want to get some experience going before you go into the book writing process so that you feel really confident about what you're doing.
Yeah.
But I kind of want to just ask this question, I guess. Is there a world in which you never felt you were ready?
Yes.
I feel like that happens so often with high achieving women is like we are out there, we're learning it, we know the stuff. It's so hard to knock yourself kind of that baby step forward, that awkward stumbling baby step forward into
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And I think I don't remember the exact question that you asked me that sort of was the tipping point, but it was something along the lines of like is the world not ready or are you not ready? Like
ah,
is this about you or is this about, the message? And that was a personal reflection around imposter syndrome and, who are you? And I think actually recently you had a a podcast conversation with yourself about a YouTube conversation about you know you there's always going to be other experts and it's okay if you're not the only expert or the most highly qualified expert. You bring something to the table and owning that voice is important. So yes, I think it's both and I 100% was not ready. I think it was brewing. I knew it was in my head and there was an idea that needed a bigger platform and just like more pages to put it all down. And also there was definitely a world where I would have never been ready enough.
yeah. Yeah. Well, one of the things that I do find holds a lot of people up, not only the imposter syndrome thing, so real, but also the fact that you do have to sift through things that are personal to yourself, but also with your clients, you've got to kind of think about like what do I want to share in here and how do I make sure I'm thoughtful? Talk a little bit. I know you really had to weigh that. Talk a little bit
Yeah.
about how you decided what pieces of other people's experience to include and kind of how you wanted to do that ethically.
Yeah. So I talk a lot with the families that I work with on um they struggle frequently, as do I, with how much of this is my story and how much of this is my loved one's story. And I mean, the truth is that family members are impacted. And so you have your own story. And so I've tried very hard, but with both with my own experience that's in the book, as well as case studies that I used of specific people that I've worked with to come from the lens of the affected family. How did they see things? How did they experience things? And how did they solution or, heal things for themselves, which, goes out to the other person as well. But as opposed to analyzing from the lens of the affected person, um, I really tried to just stay from the lens of the family member and have that resonate. What I wanted people to do was read and feel like me too, not my person too, but me too. Because I just families are not given space to be validated in their experience. And just that needs to be given.
Yeah, yeah. Well, absolutely. And there was so much care. You took so much care throughout this book, and I think it really shows. I wonder also, talk a little bit about there aren't many of these, but there's a couple of instances in the book where someone gave you really bad advice, but it's so important that it's included in the book. And I kind of thought like that person could identify themselves.
Yeah.
But also, it's a really value. I mean, so the story I'm thinking of was that your son had kind of made one choice, and the doctor said, "Oh, back to square one," and it was not that at all. Well,
Yeah.
let's talk a little bit more about how you thought about that kind of thing.
About sharing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was important to share, not to throw somebody under the bus or to throw professional guidance, to throw judgment at it, but for I really hope that professionals can read the book as well and see how small shifts in their mindset to be able to support families better could also, ultimately have their client, the person of concern, have their outcome be better as well. And so that's my hope. It's again, it's not about pointing fingers and saying you told me the wrong thing or you didn't align with my thought process. It's about, allowing professionals to go, maybe there's a different angle that I've not experienced because I've not actually been in the shoes of this family or of a family who's affected. I'm coming from a very different lens. And it's super important. If I could wave a magic wand, families would go to treatment with people. But that's just not a thing, and I don't think it's going to become a thing anytime soon. So it's essential in my view, which is 100% why I wrote the book, that families are given an opportunity to be included in a recovery process, even though they can't leave their lives and go to treatment.
Yes, yes, absolutely. I love that. Well, and we've kind of pointed at this a little bit, but I want to invite you to share a little bit more. There's a lot of really personal stuff from you and your family in the book that is so powerful. Lisa, I was rereading chapter one the other day and I was just weeping, literally weeping. But that feels really vulnerable.
Yeah.
How did you kind of think about how much of my family stuff do I want to put in here?
Uh, it was chapter one is hard. Chapter one's hard for me too. Um, I think the process of working with you guys, it was super helpful, right? Like a little bit of coaching and support around this is going to be a hard one and, prepare yourself. Also, um, a combination of there being a soft place like with your team of honoring those stories and keeping them very sacred. Also, I have a voice that's obviously very public. And I spend a lot of time sort of witnessing and watching what resonates with people. And what resonates with people is when I am vulnerable about my experience and I'm also showing strength on the other side of that vulnerability. So that's kind of where I got comfortable with it is like if I want people to step into this, I need to show that I stepped into it, that I didn't show up strong. I showed up broken and I became strong. But like it was a process so that, I don't want people to feel like I'm not strong enough to do that. I can't do
Mhm.
that too. I felt like they needed to see that it's hard even for me, and I do this all day, every day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, seriously, y'all, this chapter one we're talking about, it is like weepy in the best way. It is so moving. I felt so seen, and I do not have a person in my life that has substance use disorder. So and actually, that is a little bit of a clunky transition, but it works just fine. Thinking about some of the terminologies, you were so careful, and even kind of thinking, how did we want the title and the subtitle to make sure that you were being really inclusive and really thoughtful about how you were talking about some of these things that are so stigmatized. Can you talk a little bit more about what was that like? I guess both kind of as you've come through your experience and built your business and your work, but also as you had to come through the book where you're committing to the word, and that
Yeah.
is the word it's going to be.
Yeah. I really wanted both. So PC language or, language of the times, it changes, right? Like we evolve our language usage. And so I wanted the language used to be to have longevity, which is, the subtitle specifically, I feel like I pondered over that one at such length for that reason. Um, Inclusive. So, people who love someone, not just family members, right? Like you can love someone who's not who is a chosen family member. And then secondary or finally is not just person centered, but person focused. So person first language. Um, and I think effectively what was done is, and I think it was addressed I know it was addressed in one of the chapters around language, that this isn't about becoming the word police, but this really is about using language in a comfortable way so that it becomes comfortable to be community accepted. And I have, again, done this long enough that I've had people tell me, I speak differently when I speak about this or these people or this experience because I've heard you talk at such length about this, and the words you very strategically choose have resonated with me, and I've watched other people experience safety and comfort. So yeah, it was definitely it was a challenge, but it I'm so happy with how it reads as well as flows, as well as is one of my personal values is inclusivity. And so I think it aligns with that perfectly.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I agree. And it was fun, just as an editor to kind of hear about how your thoughts were changing on some things. And yeah, I was chatting with Emily, who also worked with Lisa on this book. But she and I were kind of chatting about in my second book, I had a lot of stuff with kind of language because we were changing the way we were talking about race at that time. And I don't even necessarily think I made all the right choices, but the point is that you're so careful and you're thoughtful about it.
Yeah.
And I think that that will always pay off, even if language shifts in some way that you would do it differently now.
Yeah, totally. There was actually one point where during the language section where I had a very kind of some stuff, some conversations had occurred, and I was witness to some conversations around the term fentanyl poisoning and fentanyl died by fentanyl, like the use of the word term fentanyl poisoning. And I hadn't gone into that chapter thinking I was going to address that because that could be a whole nother book. And I was speaking with Emily and I came to our session and I said, I am just feeling pulled to like address this. I feel like I need to, and I want to, and I want to be a platform for families to not hide and not be embarrassed or feel shamed. And she was like, we have to. And so there's like, and I said, I don't know how to do that without adding a whole nother chapter. And, we did it in kind of a couple paragraphs and it's enough. It's just enough to go to the hard thing and not isolate anybody because there are groups of people that choose to use the term fentanyl poisoning. I have encouraged people in the book to not use that term. And my hope is that the way I explained it and the way it came across invites those who use that term to think about why and if maybe they might want to change that to be more inclusive of people who are suffering.
Yes, yes. The whole book, it's such a strength of the book that it is so invitational. There is no sense ever that anyone should have any shame. It is
Yeah.
so just, it's so good, so good. And it is out today. I'm so, so excited that other people can read it now.
Yeah.
So the book's out today. It's been some time in the making. How are you feeling and what are you excited about in the next couple weeks, months?
Yeah, I'm so excited for it to be a springboard, a platform for conversation to change. I've already seen it leading up to, people getting excited, people who have, read it and given testimonies about it are just um, glowing about it, and I'm so thankful for that. And I'm just excited to use it as an opportunity for families who um, are just starting or afraid to or don't know where to go to get help, that there's a different voice and there's a different process that feels actionable to them that doesn't require hundreds of thousands of dollars and things that they might not have access to in their community and their support network. And it's offering maybe an alternative to what's been out there, but at least it's offering an extension to what's been out there. That what's been out there for families is limited. I think it's also flawed, but it's at best been limited. And this book says you can do more than that and feel actionable, which takes families away from the ineffective and frankly unhealthy action into more of a productive and healthy action.
Yes. Yes. I love it. I remember when we very first were introduced by a mutual friend and you were telling me kind of what you wanted the book to do. I ask everybody that, by the way, if you're listening and thinking of signing up for a consult, I asked you why you wanted to do it. And it's like whenever somebody gives that answer, it's like, yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes, let's do it.
Yeah.
Amazing, amazing. Well, I just kind of want to wrap up by just asking you, do you have one kind of piece of advice, one or two pieces of advice for somebody who is kind of they're building their career, they've got the experience under their belt, and they're just not sure if it's time or not?
Mm.
What would you say?
I would say to talk to you, honestly. I mean, I 100% mean that. I think that the way I went about this process, which was a whole lot of ideas, how do I get this from my head to paper, to having several consultations with you, and getting comfort with the person that I work with having an understanding of what I was looking to produce rather than inputting what they think I want to produce. Like that was huge. That was kind of a turning point for me. And then I 100% would encourage people who are looking to write a book to get support around that book because I have a whole nother job that isn't this. And I would not have been able to pull it together with such preciseness and in the time frame that I was, even though it's still a long time frame, but a much shorter time frame, I would have been stuck forever. I would recommend that. And then really getting the support, again, the coaching, the support around um, getting out of your head and into the idea and the message that you do have to offer, and that it is valuable, and finding comfort and confidence in that.
Oh, yes, yes. I think it's easy to underestimate how valuable that is,
Yeah.
but to have somebody like just believe in you,
Mhm.
truly, it makes such a difference, such a difference. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, folks who are wanting to get in touch, follow your work, whether they're needing support or just want to follow you, what would you suggest? How should they stay in touch?
I have a website, lisakatonesmith.org. I am on Instagram, mostly active there, parallel_recovery. And you can always get me at email, lisa@parallelrecovery.org.
Yes, she has an amazing TED Talk, by the way, y'all. So that is a great intro also
Yeah.
into this work.
Yeah.
Lisa, this is so valuable. I know people are going to get so much out of it. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much.
You know that feeling when a book just hits you? Not because the story is wild, but because it's shaped so intentionally that it almost makes you rethink your own story. You finish that last page and think, how did they do that? The structure, the honesty, the clarity. There's something under the surface that you just can't put your finger on. And the reason is, unless someone shows you how memoirs actually work, it's hard to translate that inspiration into your own writing. And that's exactly why we created the Memoir Method Monthly Book Club. If you want to join Emily Thrash every single month to dig into an exemplary memoir and figure out what's happening under the surface, head over to pageandpodium.com/book club. Your first month is free, and we can't wait to welcome you to the group.